Hello everyone, welcome to Rachel Pichler Yoga. Just in case we haven't met before, my name is Rachel. We're doing a full body flow today. I am going to use 2 blocks just to hold on to a little bit. Find some space to move though, and let's get started. So we're going to begin today on our hands and knees. Should you have some blocks to use today, they may come unuseful. You may decide you don't want to use them, and if you don't have anything to use, that is fine as well. Find your way to tabletop and maybe have 1 block in front of each shoulder. You can give your hips a little sway side to side, starting to move a little bit. And then we're going to be reaching forwards. I'm just going to rest my hands on my blocks, but you can rest your hands on the ground. Maybe lift it up on the fingertips, maybe flat on your palms. But a reach forwards, taking the bend out of our elbows a little bit. And then let's start to lower our chest down. Feel the shoulders, feel the arms. Let your head be heavy. Maybe your forehead comes all the way down. Maybe it doesn't. Can you close your eyes for a moment? And take a slow breath in and out. And then let an inhale help you lift your chest up. Just up enough so that maybe you can take a peek forwards towards your hands and then melt it back down. And see how low you can get your forehead to the ground. Feel the shoulder, the arm. And then inhale to lift again, just enough to maybe take a peek forwards. And as you exhale, melt it down one last time here. Take a breath or 2. And then you can use an inhale to lift again. And this time we're going to move our hands back in and under our shoulders. So if you've got some blocks, move them off to the side. Set up your tabletop, maybe a little shoulder roll, hip sway. But then you can tuck your toes under and lift on up and into downward facing dog. Pedal your feet a few times if you'd like. Press into your hand. Take a slow, deep breath in and out. How are you feeling so far today? How's your breath in this moment? Can you use an inhale to bring your gaze forwards and exhale to walk all the way up to the top of your mat? And once you get there, inhale into a half lift, lengthening your spine as you exhale, folding forwards. Inhale, come all the way up to standing, reach up. Exhale as you lower your arms to your sides, and you can roll your shoulders back. Take an inhale to reach up, and exhale as you fold. Inhale into a half lift. Exhale, folding forwards. Inhale, come all the way up. Reach up. Exhale, lower your arms at a shoulder roll if you want one. And inhale to reach up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, folding forwards. Inhale, come all the way up. Reach on up. Exhale, lower your arms down. Awesome. You guys are going to stay standing, but feel free to add a shoulder roll in. We're going to widen our feet really wide. As wide as you want to go. Turn your toes in slightly, or at least a point forwards. And I'm just going to grab my blocks, shoulder width apart for that nice reach. You can use the ground. You can also skip this part. So just bring some length into your spine, and maybe your hands will find your hips. Take an inhale, and then as you exhale, you can start to tip forwards. Feel free to keep your hands on your hips. Kind of send your hips back a little bit. Your hands could find the ground, or they could be reaching forwards. And if they're reaching forwards, maybe it's so much so that you're trying to take the bend out of the elbows a little bit, just if you want to get specific. But then we're going to let our chest get heavier, our head as well. And then if you're in a place where you can take an inhale to lift the upper body a little bit, push into the feet, squeeze your belly, and exhale to lower the chest, the head. Pause at the bottom, maybe try to tuck your chin towards your collarbone a little bit. And then let an inhale lift you up a bit. It feels good to do so. And an exhale to melt it back down. Maybe try to tuck the chin. Awesome work, you guys. Now bend your knees a little. Maybe walk your hands back in under the shoulders. Take a big breath in to stand all the way back up. You can heel toe. You can step your feet back together. You can find at the top of your mat and maybe move your blocks to the side. But stand tall, maybe a shoulder roll as well. And as you inhale, reach up. Exhale, fold forwards. Inhale into a half lift. Exhale, folding down to plant your hands and step back to your downward facing dog. Press into the ground. Send your hips high. And stay for an inhale. And as you exhale, we're going to lower our knees to the ground. And then we're going to slide our right knee forwards. So you can sit on your heel, or you can bring your foot in front of the left hip for pigeon. But if you have some nice blocks to hold on to today, have them close by. Why not use them? You're gonna have one under each hand, or use the ground, and just push into them a little bit to lift your chest a little higher. Just squeeze your back leg a little bit. So we're trying to level our hips, trying to lift our chest off of the low back with a little press into the ground. So the legs, the hands, try to lift your hips a little bit. Awesome work. So relax a bit. You can start to tip forward, still trying to lift that chest up and off of the low back, even if you're going to be reaching forwards. Maybe your blocks slide away, your hands, your fingertips walk away, trying to lift that chest off of the low back. And then if you're on blocks, your arms are probably floating. Can you let your forehead come down? Awesome work, you guys. Wherever you happen to be, take another breath or two. You're reaching forwards. Maybe slide your blocks back in, walk your hands back in, so you can just push into them again a little bit. Lift your chest, just a little squeeze of those legs. Try to lift your chest off your low back. If you do have your hands on blocks, maybe bring them back to the ground so that we can slide our right leg back all the way to tabletop and just shake it out a little bit. Notice how you're feeling through your back, your hips, your shoulders, and just switching sides. So option 2, sit on that left heel, or pop the foot out, join me in pigeon. Use those blocks, your hands against the ground, lift the chest. Try to even lift your hips a little bit by squeezing the legs, pressing into the legs. Just that sweet spot of trying to lift, but also just trying to get light through the low back. And also find that nice hip opener that pigeon is. So you can Start to lean forwards. Again, trying to lift that chest up and off of the low back. So maybe, just reaching forwards. Sliding your hands forwards. Maybe trying to take the bend out of your elbows. And then let your forehead try to find the ground. Take another breath or two wherever you happen to be. And then sliding the hands back in if they're reaching forwards and in front of you. And maybe lifting up through the chest just a little bit more, pressing into the hands, squeezing the legs a little bit. Now bring your hands to the ground so you can slide your left leg all the way back to tabletop. You can give the hips a little bit of a sway, maybe even the shoulders. But just notice how you feel. And take a breath. We are going to be sitting down. So you can bring your legs in front. Maybe give your knees a squeeze. Now, if you have a block to use, we might just take one of them. We're going to lay on our backs and do bridge pose. You can hold your hips up without the support of the block, but start by laying down for sure. And we're going to slide it underneath our hips after we lift up our hips. So lay down, plant your feet about hip-width apart. Take a nice big inhale to squeeze your glutes, lift your hips up. And if you want to work here, you don't have to add your block underneath your hips, but you could. Just notice that maybe you have a couple different heights to choose from. And the higher you want those hips to be lifted, the more you want that back to arch, the higher you might choose your block to go. And then maybe we can tuck our shoulders under the chest a little bit. So either a supported bridge or just a nice active bridge. Can you feel your breath? Can you soften a little bit, even though you might be working? If you do have a block underneath your hips, I want you to push into the ground. I want you to keep your hips lifted as you take your block out and keep your hips lifted. Find that work again. Squeeze. Stay for an inhale. And then exhale. Let's all bring our low back, our hips down. Untuck those shoulders from under the chest so you're nice and flat. On your back, you can keep your feet planted, or you can hug your knees to your chest. You might sway side to side. Massage your low back against the ground. Maybe you're going to draw some circles with the knees, which would translate to circles for the low back. And then you can switch directions. And then when it feels good for your feet to come back down to the ground, let them. You can bring the soles of your feet together and let your knees fall out wide. Maybe place your hands on your belly. Feel the ground beneath you. Allow yourself to slow down. You might begin to send your legs out long, one at a time. Might move your arms somewhere else too. Whatever Shavasana is going to look like for you today, encourage you as always to stay here for as long as you have time for. Thank you for joining me. Enjoy the rest of your day, and until next time, namaste.